Alright, back out into, there we go, yeah. Mute's questions, we've gotten on a tangent long enough, I think, that now it's just time to get to them, and I'm sure I said something here, but again, this is post-commentary, I'll remind the viewers, and I recorded this in one big chunk, like the first half of the game. All the audio was lost. So I honestly don't remember what it was talking, probably just wondering about reviewing the big mysteries of the game, because so far we have what happened before, what happened to kick this society basically to the almost literal Dark Ages, and what happened to end this society, and how is Hyun-ae involved. We're gonna get some answers, and we're gonna get them now, everybody. Not all the questions are about that though. Mute actually gave us an interesting range of questions, as you can see with the very first one. I figured we could start with something like that and, you know, get a conversation going, kinda. Someone said they wanted to give Hyun-ae a hug, and yeah, that's her character. Aww. You know, work up to the mass murder question, I suppose. Show a little bit of tact, at least. I don't know if I'll be commenting this much this episode because stuff happens soon, as you might know, either know from playing the game, or you could probably guess. I mean, we're going to advance the plot. Yeah, sure. Well, Mute was just trying to, you know, help us out, which I do appreciate. This one. Okay, look, I knew this one was going to be trouble, but some things you just gotta do. That's why I saved beforehand. I'm gonna save loaded. I'm not really gonna badmouth her. Although, things start getting wonky like this moment, if you'll... Is that... Uh-oh. Did we mess something up? And as you'll see, we have an urgent message from Hyun-ae now. The music goes slightly off kilter. Yeah, what's up? But I don't blame you. Really big problem? Yeah, everything's messed up. Checked and it's well. Okay, don't panic. But the reactor is going to explode and kill us all. Oh, is that it? Oh. Darn. And immediately I'm like, oh god. I wanted to get to the real question, I suppose, like question 9. But the issue is, like, as you can see, it already, things start to mess up, but I kinda take things a little out of sequence because we ask Hyun-ae about what happened in this situation even as the reactor situation starts again, so we ask her about the Queen, the Emperor's first wife, unlock some diary entries that will delve further into the final chapter of the Pale Bride's story. It's not a happy one. But first, we really do need to deal with that whole nuclear reactor thing, everybody. And I'm gonna pre-spoil. Majority of this episode is me dealing with that issue. I should mention there's lots of command lining. I thought it was pretty exciting. I don't know. I mean, this whole story is about, yeah. I commented, I'm surprised anything works on this ship. Nuclear fission. No, fission, not fusion. Fusion is the safe one. Fission is the one that bombs do. So, and we probably can't make it out of the range of a giant explosion in 20 minutes. So our options are fix it or die. And I don't know if you'll be surprised to know there's an achievement for dying. But now it's time to drop into the terminal and disable the reactor. Alright, step 1. We are time to command line for victory because the Yeah, that's a timer. I get really nervous on time sections too, because I'm like, oh god, reactor. Now, it obviously won't be this simple, but you know, gotta try. No backup power supply. Permanently terminate session. No. That will end, you know, the game. And, we're gonna want to not do that. Oh boy. Drop to the terminal and disable the nuclear. Alright. Did you already try? Yes. Let's see. No backup power, yep. 2 power systems on the ship. One's the nuclear reactor. It's called the power storage system. You send a few radio signals and everything goes to hell. Turn on the reactor off right now. Everyone will shut down forever. Alright. Let's give that a go. New objective received. I like that this game expects you to be a little intelligent. Like, if you said yes, you would have gotten the bad end. Pretty much where you leave and nobody discovers anything. As for right now, power control. Also, I never noticed multiple systems can be enabled or disabled on a single line, so I kinda... So I'm like, give me the list, okay? And if you'll remember, we looked at this earlier when I was just idly going through it, and we disabled one system hoping to buy us some time, and I don't know if it did, or it probably did. I mean, in a normal game, I mean, the plot would have just whacked us, and now we've got to solve this pressing issue, and then finally I notice, oh hey, the PSS. Yeah, there we go. Primary battery is at 0.1. Secondary battery is at 20. Maybe I will commentate over this. Switch battery. Alright. Now, see, now that's where the power demand thing goes in, because we're at 63%. Battery can only sustain 20% power usage, pretty much. Reactor, nope. There we go, me. Power control list. Oh boy, then I start to understand the nature of this particular puzzle. And if you look, there's a couple very serious problems. So basically, we need to get our power use under 20% in order to swap to backups. So we start disabling basically anything that isn't essential, like those spare cores not currently in use. Because there's the thing, if you'll notice, there are a couple processes like the main computer that we cannot disable, but there's a lot of things we can cut down on. Power control, disable core 5, because at most we only need 2 cores. Each core takes 5% power to use, because I mean, we are talking an AI here. Disable the internal things like the rail system, the waste processing. We're not even on board the ship right now, we're just accessing its computers from our own, I think. Alright, we're down to 46%. We've already cut quite a bit, but I mean, obvious. Like, things like we can't cut communications because that's how we're interacting with the ships. But you see the problem? Communications is 6%. Main computer is 7%. That's like... Because we have to get those two. And we also have to have at least 1 core active, or we don't have any AIs, which is the issue of basically how do you juggle this so that you can sustain the AIs and not lose either, because I'm pretty sure you can get them killed at this point, but I mean, I really wouldn't want to do that, because I like both of them. And the goal is basically to rescue both of them somehow, but God, yeah, you'll see 23%. We gotta cut something, and literally the only thing we can is one of the cores. how to do it. And so I finally think, if I disable communications, they'll both be safe. I'll be gone, but they'll both be safe. But then I realize that wouldn't help, necessarily. Because if communication is disabled, then we won't be able to rescue them or get the logs, which is actually the reason we're here. Switch to that. I'll have to switch to the power secondary system, and then, yeah, we drop back down. I drop back down to maybe see if we can get advice from her, but we can't talk to her. That's the problem. And then mute isn't initializing at all. That's the problem. Because I thought maybe I'll ask mute for help and she'd know how to handle this situation. Okay. Save regularly. I mean, you can see I was kind of compulsively saving all through this because, well, that's the natural gamer instinct, right? And here's where I really hit the stumbling block where gotta get it below 20. There's no way to do that on 2 cores, which means, yep, we've got to copy 1 core into the other one. Basically shove both AIs in there. Only one will be able to be active, but they'll both be alive, which I figured was the priority at this moment. Keeping them both alive and shutting down the reactor. AI from core, well, AI is still enabled, yeah. Okay. Deactivate Hyun-ae. And then copy core 2 to core 1. Alright, then Hyun-ae has been put in core 1, and mute will now be the one we talk to. Although if you'll notice above, it said that we couldn't execute mute. That's rather the issue here. And I don't notice that until it's too late, but that's actually something that ends up being really important. Because finally we can shut off core 2. Power control, disable core 2. And now we're under 20%. Yes. We can switch to backup power systems. And hopefully the priority is to stop the big explosion. After that we'll sort out, I guess, the living arrangements and maybe try to get something back. Alright. PSS enable. You may now safely disable the reactor. Alright. Initiating reactor shutdown sequence. Come on. Fortunately, we got plenty of time left. Even though time limits make me really nervous. Entering low power mode. Oof. Alright. Now the reactor's offline. Alright. We shoved Hyun-ae in storage, so now we enable mute, except we can't initialize mute. And we have nothing to quit to. Now if you'll notice, we've pickled ourselves. And so, I actually try to re-enable. Actually, at this point I am totally adrift, because I have no clue what to do. And that timer's not waiting for me while I just... At this point I didn't think the cosplay command would really help us avoid the nuclear explosion, although you never know. So I realized I was at this conundrum. All I had was mute, and I couldn't activate mute, and I didn't know why. And despite the fact that the reactor was disabled, that countdown was still going. So I go once more to pore over this problem, but really, all 3 of those things cannot be disabled, and we can't put anything else on it because we only have 2% to spare. So eventually, I end up attempting to restart the reactor just to give me the time to shuffle things around and fix it, but no. the reactor won't go back online. I have just fucked myself. And yes, no matter how much I pour over this, this is legit. I have managed to get in the no-win scenario. Nope. Yeah. And I try everything, I do my best. But no, something went horribly wrong, and I actually managed to figure out what it is because go back over it, but notice how mute is the dominant one and Hyun-ae is in inactive storage. But the problem is, mute won't actually execute. Yeah. And at this point, yeah, I go every single thing I can think of. I do it twice. We're jammed. I think of any tricks, anything possible. Nothing we can do here results in anything but a game over, basically. Excuse me. So what to do? I even tried going back to the primary battery. And about now I wonder why the countdown's going if I disable the goddamn reactor. So I realized, no, we have to reload. More importantly, we have to reload to before the reactor began melting down. And I accidentally saved instead of loaded, which is, oh, excuse me, please. Oh, excuse me. Eventually... No, I have to... No, that one's too... Damn it. So we have to go back to that one, which is... the caution save I made before bad-mouthing her. And basically, well, this time we figured out the solution to the problem, and by this time I actually did realize what exactly I did that was wrong. So basically at this point I'm waiting for the system to mess up. And you just kind of wait for the... I love the music going off kilter until you realize there's this emergency, and basically here, this is literally the same dialogue we've already seen, so I skip through because if I skip through, that gives me a couple more moments. Not that I really needed it, I mean, aside from managing to get myself stuck in that situation. Okay, because we have to disable the nuclear reactor, and we pretty much... This one actually goes a lot faster. I'm sorry for having to restart everybody. I don't know whether to blame the game design, myself, or both. Although given that mute goes offline and there isn't really a reason mute goes offline, I don't know. I feel like that... I don't know. But this time, we get to it fairly quickly. Disable bulkheads. Core 6 air. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm minorly nasal today, which, if you think that undercuts the danger of the nuclear reaction, well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that doesn't impress you. Core 6. Now that I know what to do. Core 5. Yeah, I think I said at some point this episode would be mostly command lining. It would have gone a lot quicker if I hadn't gotten stuck on the dead end, but I did. This is basically the proper way to solve the puzzle. I kind of like this puzzle setup for a game more than in other games where it just... Like, in most games, when they hit you with a puzzle and it's not a puzzle game, it's like... There's two main types. It's either the practical kind, basically like, we need to stack these crates to get to the next level, or we need to transfer power so that the reactor doesn't melt down. I like that, that's cool. The other one is where it's like, you must solve this puzzle to advance, and someone's arbitrarily hitting you with one. No, I prefer this style more. And then, copy it the other way this time. And personality mute is no longer available. At least this way, we'll be able to advance, presumably, I'm assuming anyhow. Our usage at 24%. Now we've stuffed both AIs in one. Mute is inactive storage, but for some reason we can't talk with her anyhow. So this way we all survive. And hopefully at some point we can figure out what's wrong. Okay, there we go. Power control. Oh, we're below 20%, so we can finally get this thing shut down. This post-commentary is not the most enjoyable thing ever, but I prefer doing that to no commentary. And I'd like to personally thank everyone who's watching this, because I think this is a really cool game. Like, really, I'm really glad I gave this a try. I do not regret it. Alright, reactor may now be disabled. Reactor disabled. And then, after the reactor shutdown sequence is done, we can drop back down to Hyun-ae and figure out why the countdown is still going, because there's probably like a second part to this puzzle. Something. Either that or, well, at this point I assumed it might have been just the game glitching, and if we could talk to Hyun-ae, that would like be the flag to make the countdown stop. Either way, the next step is to quit the terminal. Yeah. And we still have a problem. Good news is we're safe now. But Hyun-ae is not. Oh. Deal with the excess heat. Oh boy. Alright, so that's the problem. Let me drop back to the overload terminal, upload terminal, the thing. Another save because oh boy. But we've only used up 1/4 of our time allotment, so I'm not too worried, although I wasn't really sure what to do at first, so I tried to look anything to deal with the heat. And of course the reactor is disabled. I hope I don't try to enable it again. The answer lies in power control, basically. Eventually... Well, I actually try to copy Hyun-ae onto my computer, but, like, that doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. I need to use the download command. SU is password, administrator access. I think maybe administrator access will give me stuff, but we're already running in the admin command. So nope. Power control. Give me a list. Heat. Now think about it. Hyun-ae will tell you the answer if you go back to her for help, which I think I eventually do. It's weird, instead of getting myself to talk, now it's the opposite problem where I'm having trouble being quiet during segments where it's just me being a derp and not figuring things out properly. I already reviewed a lot of this game. Honestly, I think it's one of those games where it will evoke a range of emotions in you, and well, I mean, obviously good or bad. Oh. Alright, at least Hyun-ae's got a plan. And the thing is, you might have figured this out already, well, I mean, you might have known the answer to the puzzle, but basically, yes, we're going to use the life support to vent the heat. Because if you'll note, the life support system was never on, which is probably how the heat buildup started. The ship had been allowed to lay dormant for so long, but now... Alright, life support enabled. And then... I forget the final step here. Derp. Ignore background clutter, please. I want to finish up this commentary, get it all processed, ready to go. Hopefully the night I'm done with the commentary. But anyhow, yes, open the bulkheads, and that will vent the heat into space, or at least enough to buy us some time. Disable bulkhead. Alright, disable bulkheads. Shithead terminal. Atmosphere is being vented into space. And woof. We're back in business. Thankfully. And we quit back, talk to Hyun-ae, and everything's happy again. Completely deactivated and at a relatively safe temperature. Well, I imagine it was scary. Oh, it was scary for me too. Especially when I blocked myself off the first time. Ah, a break from serious business sounds good to me. Sensors working before seeing the ship, only big enough for one person. And actually, I'd say, based on what we know of the character, yeah, kinda, I mean... It was mentioned that we were asocial. That was the future that she hoped for. Full of amazing things. Colonies on other planets. We're from the future she hoped for. Back to serious business, of course, and we do actually have some rather serious business to talk about. Not sure why I'm pausing here. I mean, probably, again, to say something. It's tougher when I'm not controlling what the video does in a direct way. Then I eventually figure we're gonna save after the crisis has been averted, and then we're gonna inquire into this, which we started that tangent before, but yeah. This is really the one. Only ever had one single friend. She mentioned that before. It was just her, the queen. Wrote about her a lot in the diary. Yeah. Then she unlocks those diary entries of her marriage to the emperor, which didn't last all that long. I mean, she was terminally ill. Now we know that it was just before the disaster happened. Also, I'm kind of curious about that one. Did she have anything nice to say? No. Actually, that's one where I can't honestly lie about that. No. She really has it out for you. Called you a murderer and everything. And another paranoia save. I kind of debate the ethics of it, but yeah. She's a gossip. Yeah, she has a reputation for that, which... I remember we did see those sorted documents that she showed to us, just kind of... Hey, you want to see these? So... I don't know how Mute ever got a reputation as a gossip that way. But in any case, those questions have unlocked new documents that we are now going to check out, everybody. Block 6, especially, as I recall, is one of... Well, I mean, again, this ship is the KSS not okay, because there's plenty of not okay going around. Married, moved to the palace, and... Oh. None of those things were really all that weird. How are you holding up? Probably miss your family. That's what will be expected from any good girl. Notice the change from when she was first woken up and not too thrilled about this whole society. Now she is quiet, in fact, not saying anything. Huh. As it's just for him. Even in these documents, I mean, it's hard to, your attitude is obviously not supposed to be neutral about this culture. You're supposed to hate it, and that works. More about the marriage then. I suppose we should ask about the Emperor